It was only a raggle-taggle bunch of musicians. Kids, really. And the way history normally unfolds, there should have been no way any witnesses would have spotted that something world-changing was happening. Yet the leader of the band did have something special about him. The way he sneered at the audience, getting in their faces, coaxing out shimmering glissandos from his guitar in a style no one had ever seen before, or switching over to an amplified blues harp, still a radically new instrument for most of the teenagers who watched him and his companions intently. Elmo Lewis, as he called himself, introduced several of the numbers and ministered to the rest of his band lovingly, like a mother hen, checking that the singer, Mick, had got the beat, and keeping a close eye on his fellow guitarist's fretboard. Occasionally, when the riffs cohered into something stirring and electrifying, he and the piano player, the other more obviously experienced musician, would look at each other and smile in satisfaction. Truth is, though, that some people in that decent-sized crowd watching the Rolling Stones crammed onto the Marquee stage in July 1962, and some among those at other little clubs around London over the next few weeks did spot that something unique was happening. One girl felt the ground beneath her shifting as the band ripped through 20 songs, picked out and overseen by the blonde guitarist. At her London grammar school, Cleo Silvestri had been taught that the role of black people in culture was as heathens and savages. Now, as the band hot-wired this obscure music from deep within the black ghettos of the Chicago South Side and the Mississippi Delta, a new world opened up. A world in which black people like her would have a voice, a role. Some musicians spotted it too. Ginger Baker, an aggressive young drummer who had cut his teeth in the trad jazz clubs and was being persuaded into the blues scene by the silver-tongued club owner Alexis Korner, was dismissive of the Stones' upstart singer, yet still he reckoned that the band's exuberant, snotty teenage take on this deep, resonant music was something radical and new. Businessmen got it. Harold Pendleton, manager of the Marquee and a mainstay of the jazz scene, was likewise unimpressed by the band's music, yet still noted something powerful about their attitude, a challenge of authority, a disregard for convention that emanated principally from Brian Jones. The 21-year-old, who styled himself Elmo Lewis Jones, was a visionary. Pendleton reckoned, although there was something he didn't like about him, he used the term evil genius. As for Brian himself, the momentary satisfaction he felt as the band he'd masterminded took to the stage was itself world-changing. The music was the one thing that gave meaning to a life that was fractured, restless, and unhappy. Now, over 50 years on, that situation endures. Brian Jones got many things wrong in his life, but the most important thing he got right, for his music was world-changing. History is written by the victors, and in recent years, we've seen the proprietors of the modern Rolling Stones describe their genesis, their discovery of the blues, without even mentioning their founder. We've seen Brian Jones described as a kind of rotting attachment. This phrase in itself gives an idea of the magnitude of this story. The dark power of the Stones' music derives from their internal battles, a sequence of betrayals, backbiting, sexual one-upmanship, violence, madness, and mania. The aim of this book is not to gloss over the many flaws of Brian Jones, for if ever a man was driven by his flaws, it was he. His contrariness, his vulnerability, and his unhappiness prompted his estrangement from the establishment, and ultimately would underpin the values of the band, which challenged that establishment so provocatively. There was a darkness in his heart that inspired his exploration of the devil's music, of the story of Robert Johnson, the man who traded the secrets of guitar playing for his immortal soul. Brian sought out those secrets and was the first man to communicate them to a new generation. It was he who opened the doors to that new world, unlocking its secrets both for his bandmates and for us. In the course of writing this book, I've traveled far and plumbed deep. It's a sad story of messy lives, unwanted children, ruthlessness, and misogyny, of feuds both petty and profound. But great art can come from messy situations, as we shall see, Right from the start, there was something of the devil in Brian Jones. And as we know, the devil has the best tunes.